Hello, my friends. Welcome back to Historytime English. It is so good to have you here with me today. Find a comfortable spot, take a slow, deep breath, and let this story carry you from a quiet desert shore to the top of the tallest building human beings have ever made. Now, before we begin, close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. The year is 1950. You are standing beside a narrow arm of the sea, a creek on the edge of the Arabian desert. The heat presses down on you like a heavy blanket. Around you, there is a small town of simple houses, many of them built from palm branches and mud. There are no paved roads. There is no airport. There is no electricity in most homes. Drinking water is carried through the streets and sold from the back of a donkey. At night, the town goes dark, and above it hang a million desert stars. Now open your eyes and look at the same place today. A city of more than 3 million people, highways with 12 lanes, an airport that connects almost every country on Earth, man-made islands shaped like palm trees, and rising above it all, a silver needle of steel and glass, the Burj Khalifa, the tallest building ever constructed by human hands. Here is the astonishing part, my friend. The time between those two pictures is one human lifetime. There are people alive today who saw both. This is the story of Dubai. And it is not really a story about oil. It is a story about a place that had almost nothing and decided, again and again, to build for a future it could not yet see. Let us begin where Dubai began, with the sea. For hundreds of years, the people of this coast lived from the water. They fished. They sailed wooden trading boats called dhows. And every summer, they did something extraordinary. They dived for pearls. A pearl, as you may know, is a small, shining white treasure that grows inside an oyster, a shellfish that lies on the bottom of the sea. Before scientists learned to farm pearls, natural pearls were among the most precious objects in the world. Kings and queens in Europe and India paid fortunes for them. And some of the finest pearls on earth came from the warm, shallow waters of the Gulf, right beside Dubai. But my friend, this treasure had a terrible price. Every summer, thousands of men left their families and sailed out for months. A diver would close his nose with a clip made of bone or shell, tie a rope around his body, hold a heavy stone to pull him down, and sink deep into the sea on one single breath. 1 minute, 2 minutes, no diving machines, no air tanks. He did this 50 times a day after day, month after month. Divers went deaf from the pressure. They were burned by jellyfish. Some met sharks. Many died young, and most of them stayed poor because they worked to pay off debts to the boat captains and the pearl merchants. Life on shore was just as hard. Families lived on dates, fish, and camel milk, in houses built from palm leaves and blocks of coral stone taken from the sea. And on the roofs of the finer houses stood a beautiful invention you may remember from our story of air conditioning: wind towers. These tall, open towers caught the sea breeze high above the streets and guided it down into the rooms below cool air for a burning land, with no electricity at all. Remember those towers, my friend. At the end of our story, when you see a skyline of glass cooled by machines, you will know that this coast was fighting the heat long before the world knew its name. Pearls were almost the only wealth this coast had. And then, in the 1930s, that wealth disappeared, almost overnight. Two disasters arrived at the same time. Far away in Japan, a man named Mikimoto had perfected a way to grow pearls on farms, cultured pearls, cheaper and rounder than natural ones. And around the world, the Great Depression, a terrible economic crisis, destroyed the fortunes of the rich people who bought pearls. The price of Gulf pearls collapsed. The boats stayed on the beach. The divers had nothing. The years that followed were bitter. There was real hunger in Dubai. Families left to find work in other lands. It seemed that history was finished with this little town by the creek. But history, as you know from our stories, loves a surprise. In 1958, a new ruler came to lead Dubai. His name was Sheikh Rashid, and he had an idea that sounds simple, but changes everything. If the land gives you nothing, then your position on the map and your open door must become your treasure. Dubai sat between East and West, between India and Europe, on one of the great trading routes of the world. Ships, goods, and traders passed by every day. Sheikh Rashid wanted them to stop. There was one problem. Dubai's harbor, the creek, was slowly filling with sand. Large ships could no longer enter. So Sheikh Rashid did something bold. Dubai had almost no money, so he borrowed it from the neighboring country of Kuwait, and he hired machines to dig the creek deeper and wider. Understand what this means, my friend. Before Dubai had oil, before it had wealth, it went into debt to build a better door for the world to walk through. It worked. Trade grew, and Sheikh Rashid kept a rule that the merchants of Dubai still repeat today. What is good for the traders is good for Dubai. Low taxes, simple rules, everyone welcome. And traders noticed. Gold merchants opened their shops beside the creek, and Dubai's gold souk, a souk is a traditional Arab market, became famous far beyond the Gulf, all the way to India. The ruler himself seemed to be everywhere at once. People still tell how Sheikh Rashid rose before dawn, drove out in the first light, and inspected the roads, the harbor, the building sites, asking questions, pushing, hurrying, as if he could feel the future arriving and did not want to keep it waiting. A visitor once asked him when Dubai would be finished. Never, he is said to have answered. A city that is finished is a city that has begun to die. Then, in 1966, came the moment you have been waiting for. Oil was discovered under Dubai's waters. Money began to flow. And here, most stories of this region stop. A poor land finds oil and becomes rich. But Dubai's story is different, and this is why I am telling it to you. Dubai's oil was small. Its neighbor Abu Dhabi had oceans of oil. Dubai had, by comparison, a cup. Sheikh Rashid knew from the beginning that it would not last. The pearls had taught this coast a lesson it never forgot. A treasure that comes from nature can vanish. Only what you build remains. There is a famous saying in Dubai, often credited to Sheikh Rashid. He said, "My grandfather rode a camel. My father rode a camel. I drive a Mercedes. My son drives a Land Rover. And his son will ride a camel again." People asked him why. "Because," he said, "hard times build strong men, and easy times build weak men." He was haunted by one fear, that comfort would make his people forget how to work. So he spent the oil money as if the oil would end tomorrow. Roads, schools, a port, an airport. Not for the Dubai that existed, for a Dubai that did not exist yet. In 1971, the British, who had protected and controlled this coast for more than a century, sailed away. 7 small Emirates. An emirate is a land ruled by a prince called an emir, or sheikh, faced the world alone. So they did something rare in history. They joined together, peacefully, into one new country, the United Arab Emirates. The wise and generous ruler of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Zayed, became its first president, and he poured his oil wealth into schools, hospitals, and millions of trees planted in the desert. Almost no one believed that a union of 7 small desert lands would survive. It has now lasted more than half a century. One of the quietest success stories in modern history. And Dubai kept building always too big, always too early, always against the advice of the experts. In the 1970s, Sheikh Rashid ordered the construction of a giant harbor at Jebel Ali, far outside the city, in empty desert. It became the largest man-made harbor in the world. Bankers and advisors called it madness. Who would ever fill it? Today, Jebel Ali is one of the busiest ports on Earth, and around it stands a free zone where thousands of companies from every country do business. In 1985, Dubai started an airline with 2 borrowed airplanes. Experts smiled politely. Today, that airline Emirates flies to more international destinations than almost any other airline in the world, and Dubai's airport has become one of the busiest on the planet. Do you see the pattern, my friend? Build the door first. The world will walk through it. Then Dubai turned to a new idea. If people will not come for trade alone, they will come for wonder. In 1999, on a man-made island, Dubai opened a hotel shaped like a sail filled with wind, the Burj Al Arab, and called it the most luxurious hotel on earth. Then it built islands in the sea in the shape of a palm tree, so large you can see them from space. And in 2010, it opened the Burj Khalifa, 828 meters tall, more than 160 floors, a tower so high that you can watch the sunset from the ground floor, ride the elevator up, and watch the same sun set again from the top. And here is a detail I love, one that connects this story to another story we have told on this channel. None of this, not the glass towers, not the giant malls, not the indoor ski slope where people ski on real snow, while the desert outside burns at 45 degrees. None of it would be possible without the humble air conditioner. The invisible machine we spoke about in another episode is the quiet heart of Dubai. A city of glass in the desert is a promise that the cool air will never stop. And the world came. Today, well over 15 million visitors arrive every year to shop in malls the size of small towns, to ride a driverless metro through a canyon of towers, to photograph a museum built in the shape of a great silver ring covered in flowing Arabic writing, the Museum of the Future. Dubai even hosted the World Expo, welcoming almost every nation on Earth to the desert. And geography, in the end, kept its old promise. Around 1/3 of humanity lives within a 4-hour flight of Dubai, and 2/3 within 8 hours. The little creek town had always stood between east and west, my friend. It simply built the door big enough for the whole world to walk through. But my friend, you know that on this channel, we always tell the whole truth. And the truth is that Dubai's miracle was not built by sheikhs alone. It was built by millions of workers who came from far away from India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal, the Philippines, and many other lands. Today, roughly 9 out of every 10 people in Dubai were born in another country. Many found opportunity there that they could not find at home, and they send money back that feeds entire villages. But many others, especially the men who raised the towers with their hands, worked long hours in brutal heat for low pay, slept in crowded camps, and carried heavy debts to the agents who brought them there. Human rights groups have criticized these conditions for years. Some rules have improved summer midday breaks, protections for wages, but the debate is not over. When you look at that shining skyline, remember, my friend, every tower is also a monument to workers whose names no one wrote down. And there was another hard lesson. In 2008 and 2009, a great financial crisis swept the world, and Dubai, which had borrowed billions to build its dream, nearly drowned in its debts. It was rescued by its richer neighbor, Abu Dhabi. And if you wonder why the tallest tower on earth is called Burj Khalifa, here is the answer. At the last moment, it was renamed in honor of Abu Dhabi's ruler, Sheikh Khalifa, a thank you, written in the sky. Today, here is the number that tells you everything. Oil is now only about 1% of Dubai's economy. 1%, my friend. The city that found oil built itself a future in which the oil barely matters. Trade, tourism, flights, finance, technology that is Dubai now. The pearl diver's great-grandchildren live in a city that decided its own destiny twice. Once when the pearls died, and once before the oil could die. And so, my friend, the story of Dubai comes gently to its end. It began with men sinking into the dark sea on a single breath, hunting for pearls to feed their families. It passed through hunger, through a ruler who borrowed money to dig a deeper harbor, through ports and airports that the experts called too big, too early, too proud. And it rises today into the sky, a city built in the desert by people from 200 nations, cooled by invisible machines, and driven by one simple fear. Never depend on a treasure you did not build yourself. And maybe that, my friend, is the lesson this story offers you as an English learner. Dubai did not wait until it needed a port to build a port. It built the door before the ships arrived. Your English works exactly the same way. You are not learning for the life you have today. You are learning for a future you cannot see yet. The job interview that has not happened, the journey you have not taken, the friend you have not met. Every word you learn tonight is a harbor you are digging before the ships come. And one day, when the opportunity sails toward you, your door will already be open. So keep building, my friend. Build too early. Build too big. That is how deserts become cities. This is Historytime English. If the story of Dubai surprised you today, please leave a comment. Tell me, what stayed with you most? Was it the pearl divers sinking into the sea on one breath? The ruler who said his grandson would ride a camel again? Or the port in the empty desert that everyone called madness? I would love to hear from you. There are many more stories waiting right here, and I will be here when you come back. Until next time, my friend, take care of yourself and never stop learning.